Welcome to Today in the News from Vanguard Live. I am Rolake Ademiju. Let's get started with Vanguard on the paper review. Vanguard is leading with Israel-Iran war. 330,000 flee Tehran. Oil prices drop by 4%. And lastly on the Vanguard newspaper, Bloodletting. Tinubu shifts Kaduna trip, heads for Benue. You can find our story on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. The Punch is leading with 2027 APC talks tough as pressure mounts over Tinubu's running mate. Benue bloodbath. CDS IG launch cross-border manhunt for killers. Tinubu to visit Benue on Wednesday. President moves to reconcile Akume, Governor Ayla. You can find our story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And lastly, the nation is leading with Tinubu heads to Benue to galvanize against serial killings. Alia confirms death of 147 in attack. Akume, Ribadu, Egbetokun, others sent to Makurdi. You can find our story on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. IG, Conference of Speakers clash over state police. Inflation rate drops to 22.97%. You can find the story on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. FIRS extends service period to ease tax collection. And lastly on the Nation newspaper, $470 million, Greater Abuja Water Supply Project begins operation. You can find our story on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all we have for the headlines of the dailies. Join us after the short break for a brief analysis of some of the stories with our guests. Welcome back if you are just joining us. This is Today in the News from Vanguard Live. I am Rolake Ademiju. And joining me this morning to analyze some of the stories is Mr. Daya Kintobi. He's the publisher of Lekki Today, Ilupeju Today, and Ikeja Diary Today. Good morning, Mr. Dayo.
Good morning, Rolake. Good morning to all of you.
How are you this morning,
Very
sir?
well, thank you. How are you?
Fine, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir. President Tinubu is visiting Benue following the 200 killings of people by the armed herders. What message do you think this visit send, and do you think that's the solution to the problem on ground?
Well, it's a good step, I would say, because it shows that the federal government is really concerned about what is happening. Because let's remember that, or let's not forget that the first duty of any government is the protection of the lives of its citizens. That's the primary responsibility of any government. And this kind of massacre, even one human life is too much. Let's not talk about 200 lives massacred just like that. So it's important for the president to show empathy, to show concern, and he's going there to where the incident actually happened. It gives some measure of comfort and inspires the people to believe that the government is concerned and will do something about it. Matter of fact, I think it should have gone earlier. I don't think it should have waited this late, but it's better late than never. So I'm happy that he's going, and I think it sends a strong message, first of all, to the terrorists, the people who did this dastardly act, that the government is not going to take it lying low. And secondly, it also sends a message to the victims, the other people in the community, that government feels their pain, government is going to come to their aid, government is also going to do everything in its power to stop a repeat occurrence, and most importantly, government is going to fish out the perpetrators and bring them to justice.
Concerning the perpetrator, there was an accusation that these people might be supported by the local people in the community. How do you think the government should approach this alleged internal collaboration?
Well, there have been these rumors because it seems like these bandits, these terrorists, these kidnappers, they're always one step ahead of the authorities. They always seem to know where to go, that there's no army or there's no police. They're well funded, they have equipment, they have machinery, they have guns, they have bombs, they have motorcycles, they have airtime, they have data, they are so well organized and so well funded that it can't just be a group of misfits that came together that are organizing such well structured operations. So there's always been speculation that some powerful people must be behind them. Either they are getting cooperation from the local communities, or there are some people are even speculating that not just even in Abuja, but inside the government, inside the military, inside the police, there are people who are complicit in this conspiracy. But we don't really have evidence, we don't really know. But the one thing we do know is that they are too well organized and too well funded to just be a group of misfits who came together to come and do this. What we don't really know is what is their motive. Why are they killing people? Innocent people in Benue. Some people are saying it's a historical crisis from decades, years, centuries ago, relating to land issues and things like that. But bottom line is, it's here in 2025 happening, live and direct, that people in Benue have been massacred in great numbers. So um, what matters most is the response of the government, the security apparatus. What are they doing to be able to arrest this and stop it from continuing to happen? Especially in Benue, it's been rampant. Then it kind of abates for a while when there's a lot of noise. Like right now, this 200 people massacre is causing a lot of uproar. But the president will go there, they will have town hall meetings, they will make a lot of noise, then things will quiet down again till the next massacre happens. We can't continue to live like this. Something definitive has got to happen. And I'm hoping it will start when the president gets there tomorrow. He's convening a meeting of all the stakeholders, traditional leaders, religious leaders, community leaders, ordinary citizens, vigilante groups, people in the society, in the villages, the village heads. So um, they want to start to have a dialogue. Let them have an honest, open meeting. Let the people tell the president their concerns. If they know who is behind it, or if there are any of people within them that are participating with the terrorists, they will tell the president. Let the president hear the truth and let him begin to act from there. So let's hope we start to see things from tomorrow.
And concerning the weapon, Governor Elliott said that these attackers they didn't come with cartels. They came with AK-47 and AK-49. And what does this suggest about Nigerians' border security and the intelligence gap?
Well, yeah, he said they are not Nigerians. He said they are coming
Yes.
from outside. So then the question is, how does he know this, first of all? And secondly, if he knows this, how are foreigners able to infiltrate our own country? The army's first job is what they call territorial integrity. Army is not even supposed to be fighting locally to defend us locally. That's a job for the police. But the army is supposed to patrol our borders, police our borders, and make sure that there's no foreign aggression. So if these are foreigners, how did they enter our country? And how come our army is not able to withstand them or to keep them out? So that's what it tells me is that, first of all, how does the governor know that they are not from among our midst? So if he knows they are not from among our midst, then that means he knows who they are and where they came from. So that's right there a failure of intelligence and a failure of proper security if he knows who they are, where they came from, and they're not able to do anything to stop them from coming to our country. Then the second thing, of course, is the fact that what is the army doing if our borders are that porous, that foreigners are actually able to come in? They say they are parading themselves as headsmen, that they are not really headsmen, but they are using, you mentioned cows just now, that they're using herdsmen apparatus to pretend to be herdsmen, because normally you see herdsmen, they are grazing with their cattle. Although in this case, the governor said there was no cattle, but these people pretended to be herdsmen. They were hiding AK-47 under their robes. So perhaps, there's a failure of intelligence somewhere along the line within our security architecture that fails to detect these things until after something bad has happened. That needs to stop.
Okay, sir. Senator Akuma, he said he believes that the killings are economically motivated, they are not religious. So what's your take on this, on the root cause? What do you think is the root cause? Is it land grabbing? Is it terrorism?
Well, I can't see the economic motive in massacring 200 poor villagers. What are you going to, what economic benefit are you going to derive from eliminating 200 villagers? I don't quite understand. Maybe there's a larger goal. Benue is the breadbasket of Nigeria, yes. That's where a lot of our food comes from. The Tiv people are known to be our yam farmers. They're the ones that produce a lot of the yam that we consume. So a lot of Benue is agrarian, is farmland type of thing. It's not the kind of commercially viable real estate that people will be hunting for, like Eco Atlantic, where you want to build towers, and for that reason there can be fight over land because of the commercially viable real estate that people will be hunting for, where you want to build, can be fight of the Benue is mostly farmland. So I don't see how the land itself can hold the kind of economic value that will lead people to kill 200 people. So there's a larger motive. Is it religious? I don't know. I do know that.
Terrorism.
Well, terrorism is the umbrella terminology for all manner of atrocity. It's all terrorism. So we just use terrorism as a that you don't
Or
know.
maybe something deeper.
It's possible, quite possible that it's quite deeper than what we on the surface know. But clearly, these people have a motive. They have a reason to be doing this. I don't think people are that deranged to where they just go and start killing strangers for no reason. There's got to be a reason. Is it power? Is it territorial control? Is it economic, like George Akume is saying? The one thing I do know, some people think maybe there's a political aspect to it because George Akume, who is the current SSG, used to be the governor of Benue. The current governor of Benue, Aliyah, the two of them don't get along. They've been having issues. They've been fighting publicly. They've been at daggers drawn politically ever since Aliyah came into power. So some people think maybe it's their supporters of Akume versus supporters of Aliyah, who are the ones who are fighting each other. That's leading to the collateral damage of innocent villagers being massacred. It's possible. One thing that I know is that tomorrow, when the president gets there, Akume will be seated, Aliyah will be seated. So perhaps that could be the beginning of reconciliation between the two of them that will lead to a political solution to the political aspect of the crisis. The security aspect will still exist, and that definitely needs to be addressed.
Moving on to the next story, sir, concerning the APC um, Tinubu Shetima's ticket. How do you view the growing rumors that Vice President Shetima may be dropped in 2027? Are they politically motivated or?
It's all politics. Right now, the main issue on all Nigerian politicians' mind is 2027. So everybody is jockeying for position. When we get to a period of frenetic activity for an upcoming election, all kinds of rumors swirl. So it's not unusual to hear this kind of thing that Shetima will be dropped because there are people who are jockeying for his position. It's not unusual for a leader to choose this. It's happened in many instances where whoever was the running mate in the first term is not the running mate in the second term. So the person with the ticket will always try to find somebody who will add strength and numbers to his contest. So if he looks at it and thinks that during his first term, his deputy was not that effective, there have been some people who have alleged that Shetima is a dull politician. He's not really been effective. He's not like the former VP or Shibajo who was voluble, who was charismatic. Buhari used to always put him in the front and center to go and be the one speaking for the government because he inspired people. He electrified minds the way he had empathy and he was a people person. They're saying Shetima coming after Oshibajo is a marked departure from what we are used to from a second in command, and that Shetima just doesn't fit the bill. So there's rumors that Tinubu will try and find somebody who is a bit more vibrant, who's a bit more charismatic, that can speak better for the government. There are also those who say that Muslim ticket is still annoying a lot of people, and that they may react to it in 2027, that in 2023 it slipped through the cracks and got through, but there are enough people who are still upset that in a pluralistic society like ours, where we have this gentleman's agreement about rotation of power between North and South, that to balance tickets, it should never be two people from the same religion. So there are those who are already upset. So those ones are pushing Governor Tinubu to say, pick a Christian running mate for your second term, otherwise you will lose our vote. So there are a lot of factors that are playing out here. What has led to all the speculation is that the Northeast Caucus of the APC, they met in Gombe on Sunday, and they had this meeting, and the three governors in the Northeast, I think Borno, Yobe, and Gombe, were there. And when the issue of endorsing President Tinubu for a second term came up, the issue was put on the table that, okay, so we will endorse President Tinubu, how about his running mate? Are we endorsing them together? Well, they couldn't get consensus. There are some people who abstained and stayed neutral. But you can read meaning into that staying neutral that by their body language that they don't want this
Yes,
guy.
sir. But during the stakeholder meeting when they were giving speech, they omitted Shetima's name when they
Mhm.
were talking. Do you think it was deliberately or it was just like a careless oversight?
I think it was deliberate because at the end of the day, even when the issue was now tabled, you didn't get overwhelming support for Shetima when they tabled him. Even out of the three governors, only one, Babagana Zulum of Bono, he was the only one who spoke in favor. The other two abstained. They didn't say no, but they stayed neutral. But that neutral, at the end of the day, is not support. When you stay
Yes.
neutral, you are on the fence. You've not said yes, you've not said no, but you've not supported. So I would say that in the Northeast, the groundswell of opinion is against Shetima's re-election. It could be there's rumors that people are backing the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, to be
Okay.
the one to run with Tinubu. He's also a voluble, he's more along the lines of an Oshibaju. He can speak well, he's charismatic, he's intelligent, he is not camera shy, he's ready to talk anytime, he dresses sharply, and all that. So there are some people say, and of course, he has vast legislative experience and that he will bring a lot to a Tinubu Dogara ticket. So, look, this is the nature of politics. When elections are coming, you see all kinds of permutations. The role of every elected politician all over the world is to get re-elected. That's your first
Yes.
consideration. And whatever will help you achieve that goal is what you will do. There's no loyalties. If Tinubu believes that there's somebody else who will help him win in 2027 better than Shetima will help him, he will dump Shetima in a minute, in a heartbeat. There's no loyalty. There are, as they say, there are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests.
Yes, sir. So how significant is the Northeast region to APC's 2027 ambition, and what could be the consequence if they are betrayed?
Well, the truth is, you can't win without the North. Northeast is just one component out of the entire North, but you can't win the North without at least two out of the three zones. You can't win an election in Nigeria because the population mass, the sheer volume of votes in the North. Even if you've got the whole Southwest lockdown, you've got South South, you've got Southeast. If you don't get two out of the three regions in the North, your goose is cooked. You can't win. So Northeast is critical, it's pivotal because if he loses the Northeast, he might just, tread water in either the Northwest or the North Central. Then how does he get over the hump? So for a politician, you want to make sure that you pacify and satisfy all the zones because you're naturally going to lose some anyway. So you can't afford to neglect some or overlook some because it could be those very ones you overlook that will be the ones to move you over the top. So I think Northeast is critical. I think whatever he needs to do to lock them in, even if it means dumping Shetima, I think he would have to do that.
Okay, so during the meeting, it was said that some people went violent during
Yes.
the meeting, and Gandhi condemned the strong this thing. And do you think the party is enough to address the internal discontent?
Well, the thing that's funny to me is that APC has been mocking PDP for their own crisis all along and saying Labour is in disarray, PDP is in crisis. Look, APC itself is not without crisis. APC too has problems, because remember APC from the beginning was a marriage of strange bedfellows. You got the CPC, you've got the new PDP, you got ACN, you got some part of APGA. They all came together to form APC, and they all have divergent interests. So it's when election is coming that you now see all the interests starting to show up, and those interests are divergent. They are not coalescing around a unified theme. So this is what you see in APC right now: is that the party, the cracks within the party are starting to show up because 2027 is coming. So each faction that makes up the APC is pushing its own agenda, and those agendas are at cross purposes to the other factions. So that's what you see that's happening within the APC at the moment.
Yes, sir. Let's move on to the last story of the day. The Sokoto security advisor says that the state is open to receiving bandits. What do you think is the positive and negative consequence of this?
Yes, what Sokoto is saying is that they're ready to rehabilitate the bandits. That lay down your arms, come in, we will embrace you, we will welcome you, we will rehabilitate you. They are called repentant bandits. Those who have um, disavowed violence, who have laid down their arms, say they are not doing banditry anymore. But past experience, it's been done before in Kaduna and other places to where all these so-called repentant bandits, they either end up back in the same industry, which is banditry, or sometimes they even filter into the military and begin to work against us from within. What we've discovered is there's no real repentance from banditry. It's just a front. Perhaps maybe they are hungry in the forest, they haven't been fed, maybe they are disgruntled with their leaders. So it's even if it's repentance, it's only skin deep. It's not because a lot of banditry is based on ideology or discontent or a sense of marginalization or religious, fervor. So repentance is usually just deceptive, either to use to infiltrate or penetrate or perhaps just seek temporary succor.
It's
Then
not
by
long
the time,
term.
yes, by the time they are fed and they are comfortable again, they move back towards what they were doing. So we've discovered from past experience that repentance, rehabilitating them and assimilating them does not always work. Um, in the Niger Delta under former late President Yaradua, they rehabilitated the militants in the Niger Delta, and that actually worked very well because it helped quell the restiveness. They brought them in, got them to lay down their arms, they sent them to school, trained them in apprenticeships, gave them monthly stipends, and those people, their militancy died down immediately. But militancy is different from banditry. The Niger Delta people were fighting against the resource in their own land. Their land was being spoiled. They were not benefiting from the resources that was coming out of their own land, and they felt marginalized and alienated. So they were fighting for a cause. So once their cause was addressed, that eliminated the cause for militancy. But what is the cause of the bandits? What are they fighting for? Do we know? We don't know. So if we don't know, how do we begin to address the problem? That's part of what the stakeholders meeting is tomorrow. President believes that by talking to all the stakeholders, maybe they'll be able to discover what it is that is in the mind of these people. What is your disgruntlement? What's your beef? How can we meet you at a middle point and address your grievances? We need to know what your grievances are first before we begin to know how to address your issues. So Sokoto saying that they want to rehabilitate bandits obviously means that they've given up. They believe they can't win the fight. So the next thing is, look, uh, keep your friends close, your enemies closer. So maybe that's what they want to try and do. But history does not speak well for this issue of trying to rehabilitate bandits.
The advisor emphasized that many conflicts in history ended in dialogue and not just force. But do you think in Nigeria, do you think dialogue can end all of this?
Every conflict ends with dialogue, even here in Nigeria. At the end of the day, especially a conflict where the sides seem evenly matched. If we had the advantage militarily, we would have wiped them out all this time. But for them to, for years and years and years, be keeping our military at bay, it means they are almost evenly matched, or there's no political will to wipe them out. So, dialogue is how it's going to end at the end of the day. But I don't think a piecemeal strategy of one person offering rehabilitation, another person, supplying them arms back. I think there has to be a holistic approach to the dialogue, to where it first begins to examine what their issues are. Not just call them and say, bring your guns and here is money, or here is apprentice training, here is school, here is. I think it requires a more holistic approach whereby you find out what their grievances are. Many of them just don't feel like they belong to Nigeria because Nigeria has not treated them well. Many of them feel like they are marginalized, they don't have a voice, whatever the grievance. I mean, I'm not talking about just bandits in the north, I mean across Nigeria. Anywhere where you see a disgruntled Nigerian, there's something that's not right, that's bothering him, that makes him not feel whole or feel to be a part of the entire project Nigeria. So you have to find out what their grievances are. It's then you can begin to fashion out a solution. So that's the way I think we need to.
But do you think this dialogue can work long term? Just a temporary
No,
fix?
no, without a doubt, if the dialogue exposes what is bothering people and you address those particular issues, then you take away the cause, the proximate cause for their disillusionment or for their agitation. So it all has to start with dialogue. And that's why we always say, and I know where you're going with this, is why didn't you talk before? Why are you talking
Yes.
after? Why not be proactive instead of reactive? If you were able to dialogue before everything got out of hand, then maybe lives wouldn't have been lost. So, but it's better late than never. At the end of the day, we do need to talk. If we can't wipe them out militarily, and we've been trying for long to do this, we've not succeeded. So dialogue is the next step.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dayo. So this is where we draw the curtain today. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media displaying on your screen. Or you can visit our website today, www.vanguard.ngr.com. I am Rolake Ademiju. Have a lovely day.